It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is actually episode 256.
Yay!
Tonight I'm joined by Ashgar. Actually, Ammo first.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Breaking habits is hard.
It is really hard. Grace.
Hi.
Kodra.
Surprise! It's actually episode 0 because we were using an unsigned bit. Bite.
Bite.
Damn.
Wow.
Phelan?
Hey.
Okay. So yeah. We have 7 people on the show, which is... I guess only that first show is the only time we've had all 7 on. First show with Ammo, that is. Because not shows number 1. What?
No.
Wait, what?
Because I don't think I was here for her first show.
So is this like literally
I think
the
this
first
is the first time
we've
we've had all 7 people
Oh,
Yeah.
in a long time.
Oh man, that's crazy town. Also, hi everyone. We'll get this shit together at some point.
No, we won't.
It's us.
It's been 5 years and we still don't. So don't hold out hope.
A lot happened in games this week, though.
It did, but first we're going to talk about a topic that got bumped a couple shows, I think.
Only one.
Ash, what is Lapis X Labyrinth?
Lapis X Labyrinth is a nonsense game.
Okay.
I've
It is
seen
a-
it played. I can contest to that.
It is a platformer dungeon crawler of sorts, where you play as an adventuring party, all stacked up on like the person you're playing as, and then several other heads stacked on top of your head, and that's your whole party. And it is a very simple game. You go into the labyrinth, you beat things up, you get treasure, take it back out, you wear better gear, you go back into the labyrinth, you get better stuff, and you keep going. It is using the same sort of quest structure as, like, say, Monster Hunter, in that you take a quest and then you go out and do the quest and you come back to town and you do various things. But it is very simple. Like, it is not terribly deep. It's just fun to play. The reward structure in this game is very much, hey, let's see what casinos were doing. So after you get some treasure, you as you start collecting treasure, you fill up a meter that is your fever meter, and when that fills up, you get a notification that you're going into fever mode, become invincible, and everything you hit starts exploding in showers of gems. There are special boxes that you can only hit during fever mode that will explode in lots and lots of showers of gems. In addition, you have special attacks that may fill the screen with bullets or explosions or create a giant area of invincibility or lots of other things. And it's not terribly deep, but it is just fun to play.
So
Sort of had me thinking about that.
So what I'm hearing is basically, what if Candy Crush was a dungeon crawler?
Kinda, yeah.
I have to say...
Except this doesn't ever actually cost me any additional money, ever.
So it's good.
So I got to watch you play this game, and I did not get it. And I wonder if this is a game that is fun to play, but what makes it fun is not necessarily obvious. Because it seemed super visually busy, and I couldn't track anything that was going on that screen.
It is very visually busy. As soon as you start hitting anything, a bunch of numbers start popping up.
So is it like bullet hell busy?
I mean, it's not busy with things that hurt you, it's busy with positive feedback.
Yeah. Bullet hell is not what I would call busy. Actually, everything is moving shockingly slow in a bullet hell game. But this game is... everything is moving fast, but for the most part, what's moving fast is feedback telling you that good things are happening.
So it's like playing pachinko?
I mean...
that's probably a good comparison, because that's probably what it's based on.
I'll be honest, I didn't know why you were really into this game after watching that until you made the comment of, it feels like it's taking a stab from casino games. Because, yeah, I can understand how that psychology would be really attractive in a game that you're not constantly paying for.
Well, and Kodra, I also remember, you don't really get the appeal of, Diablo 3, right?
Not really.
I mean, not from the cycle of kill stuff, get loot, kill stuff, get loot.
Yeah.
I think this sounds like it may be tangential to that.
That's probably true. I do have to say, the way you actually stack, where you are just a hero and then 3 other heads stacked on top of that hero, and they sort of pop out at random parts is very, very cute and funny, and reminded me of the Batiri battle stacks from Forgotten Realms, which is 4 goblins standing on top of each other. It's how the Batiri fight.
Well, I mentioned this when I saw it at PAX, but it reminded me of Disgaea.
Well, and that's also kind of how the World of Final Fantasy stuff works, right?
Yep, except in this case, they're all the same size. Roughly the same size.
That is a whole aesthetic that I fundamentally don't get, but a lot of people seem to love, so...
I'll be honest, I mostly didn't get it either, but it was funny. So the subtitle of this is What Makes Games Fun? What makes this game fun to you, Ash?
I find this game fun in 2 respects. One is that it is nice to see you hit a button, you get shiny lights. That part is fairly basic and it's just fun. It's enjoyable to me. The other part is there is a equipment management component. Like, you get things that have bonuses on them. Your party can only have a certain total amount of points worth of equipment. So this weapon might have 2 bonuses, but it takes 3 points to equip. And this weapon might only have 1 bonus, but it's, say, got really strong attack power. Or this weapon has maybe completely terrible attack power, but has really good bonuses. And I found one of those that was only 1 point to equip, but had amazing bonuses on it. And that part of the game also appeals to me. Figuring out how to make my team better using this stuff that I found in the dungeon. I've talked before about how Warriors games have this sort of layer of meta strategy, even when you're actually playing them. They're not just button mashy. This doesn't have that in the actual gameplay, but does when you go back to town and need to figure out how to sort out your loot.
I mean, to some extent that's kind of appealing because it lets you spend as much time as you want trying to figure out the strategy that you want to employ rather than feeling rushed in battle.
Somewhat. I don't know. The reason that's there is because I don't have a good descriptor of how to describe this game other than it's just fun.
Well, I mean, by the same token, I can't fully explain why, a Diablo-style game pushes buttons for me or a, Castlevania-style game pushes buttons for me. It's just I enjoy them, and I, consistently enjoy that style of game.
Yeah, there's just a brain chemistry thing happening that makes those sorts of games appealing to some people, I think.
Oh man, is this a chance to use my degree?
Oh god.
Feel free.
Fun is fascinating and is super heavily studied.
But... sure Raph Coster wrote a whole book about it.
Yeah. But purely clinically, and I find this fascinating, I mean probably not surprisingly, but purely from a psychology perspective, fun is you can boil down fun into a combination of overcomable challenge, comfort, and positive feedback. And one of the reasons why it's so ephemeral and changes so much between people is that all 3 of those things are intensely personal. But if somebody finds something fun, it's usually because it's firing all 3 of those. And so, for example, for me, chasing random pulls is frustrating. It's not enjoyable. That having a bunch of loot that might be good pop out of something is not positive feedback for me, but it is for Belle. It is for Grace. And so Diablo is more fun. And in a similar vein, a game like Dark Souls for a certain audience is overcomable challenge. For another audience is not overcomable. It's just a wall and it's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, it's why a game like Hollow Knight is intensely frustrating for me, because I love everything about it except that I can't always beat the bosses and then I hit a wall. Whereas, most of the rest of you folks play it a bunch and you just get the good parts. You don't run into the frustration, so it's just fun.
Yeah, and I don't know, there's a part of me that has always enjoyed the slow incremental progression.
Mm-hmm.
That adding gear always
I know for
improves.
myself, I like to take big risks for big rewards. I don't find methodically making incremental progress satisfying. I want to go big. I want to go big and win big fast or fail big fast, but either way, we're going big. And I get super frustrated when a game's optimal play is not the flashy, cool clever play. It's the no, hold back, don't use your big stuff, don't sit and wait for the right moment, Like that doesn't do it for me. But I know people who love it.
Well, I mean, I think a prime example of that is like I recently finished the Avarice Conquest in Diablo 3, and like there's multiple ways to do this thing. There is absolutely a way to where if you equip the right gear, you can go in and knock it out in a few minutes if you happen to get the right lucky sequence of things to happen. Or you can do the slow and steady method of farming up like 55 bounty chests and opening them all at once and guaranteeing that you will have gotten over 50 million gold laying around you on the ground.
And even though that's the slow, steady, boring way, it's still fun for me because then I get to pick up all the loot all at once. Whereas for you, Tam, that is probably not an incentive of any kind.
Yeah.
It's like a chore.
Like, it literally took me like an hour and a half to get through all that loot that just was sitting on the ground after doing this one thing. And the thing is like, I overfarmed. I probably had way more chests than I needed to get. The conquest, but like I didn't want to second guess it and like do it wrong and then have to farm it all up again.
Yeah, there's another thing, and I'm up in the air on whether or not I necessarily agree with Raph Koster on this, but when he talks about fun, he talks about human brains love patterns, and they love forming patterns, and they love identifying and expressing patterns. And so a lot of time fun is patterns. It's why fighting games have like complex inputs to perform abilities, because it's a pattern that your brain then recognizes, and that's fun if you put together patterns that way. And I think there's something to that, but I don't know that I necessarily agree 100%. But I can definitely see that in what you're describing.
I mean, it's definitely true that human brains love patterns. I think some human brains love them more than others. I'm definitely one that loves patterns.
Yeah. Mine loves them a lot.
I love the very first moment of discovering a pattern, and then I'm done with it. That initial breakthrough moment is like pure joy. But then the third time I have to do it, I'm bored of it.
I love repeatable loops that are rewarding.
Try this game.
I may want to try this game, yeah. Like, it looks interesting. Like, I've seen some of the video, and it cracks me up when, like, the bottom person on the stack attacks and, like, the entire stack moves.
Oh, also it has double jump, because all platformers should have double jump. Except once you've double jumped, then you can jump off of any heads you have remaining. So you can jump up to 5 times, usually.
That's nonsense. So, another thing that happened this week is E3. And we didn't really talk about it last week because, well, not much of E3 had actually happened as of last week. But at this point, all of the shows have happened. Sony was a no-show, but everyone else pretty much had a thing that they did. And I have to say, like, after seeing everything, the absolute highlight of the show for me is Phantasy Star Online 2 coming to, a Western translation. I mean, I did nonsense and played that in a somewhat translated state, and I am really hoping that when it comes here, we get Chapter 1 and not Chapter 4, so I can find out what the hell happens and who the hell these people are.
I also hope we get something feeding us into Chapter 4, because starting with Chapter 4 and on a partially translated client was kind of disorienting.
It was real rough because like all these people seem to think I should know who they are, and I didn't know any of them. So yeah, I'm super looking forward to that. I don't think it had a release date other than next year.
I don't know. I wasn't paying a lot of attention to the Microsoft conference, which is where it got announced. It got announced at the Microsoft conference.
Also, we're apparently getting a Commander Keen game.
Yup.
I mean, it's
from ZeniMax Online Studio.
It's not the Commander Keen game I was expecting to get, but, I wasn't really expecting one, so, yeah.
So, I did not... So, I'm trying to formulate my thoughts. I only saw the gameplay trailer initially. The gameplay trailer doesn't feel like it is all of this. It's very slow. It's sort of a take the tower type of game where you're using gadgets to ascend this thing, but it's pretty slow. Like, it feels slow. Commander Keen felt pretty kinetic. Like, didn't feel fast, but this feels slow.
Yeah, that was my takeaway as well, is like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know what the final gameplay is going to look like, but it definitely looked like it was more of a puzzle climber kind of game where, like, you're solving little mini puzzles with your little gadgets to keep ascending higher. And they showed off some kind of a race mode so that you could, like, race your friends, but even at that, it didn't seem like it was really fast.
Yeah, and then, like, 2 days later, I saw the non-gameplay trailer. I saw the trailer that just like a 30-second Saturday morning cartoon TV show ad, and I am so pumped for that. I am they showed a wall of pictures which had a sepia tone, like modern Billy, Terrorbilly, BJ Blazkowicz. It had the Terror Twins, BJ's daughters, who would be the I'm guessing aunts in this case, or the what would that be? Yeah. But then like all of the kids, like they're setting it in universe of the current series, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And apparently the original Commander Keen is the father of this Commander Keen. There's two Avengers twins.
Billy and Billy.
And like they were chasing after the Bean with Bacon Mega Rocket parts. You got to see the Vorticons. You got to see the Morps. The Morp was a Morg, I think. Morg was
Blorgs?
A chest burster. Yeah.
Blorgs, I think.
Blorgs?
That's Dolores.
No, Blorgs are... Hold on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Im.
The Gargs? Or the Yorps?
Yeah, it's the Gargs, I guess.
I mean, and there's also like a giant dope fish.
There was a dope fish. They showed the
dope fish.
They showed the Robo Red. So like a good mix of Keen 1 through 3 and Keen 4 through 6. You saw them strap like a super advanced pogo stick to his back. It just looks cute. I'm really excited.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm really happy that the world of Commander Keen is not dead and there's something coming out. And I'm hoping that this mobile game isn't necessarily the only thing we're getting. Like, someday we may get another platformer. And I'm fine if that platformer is on a mobile device, because Mario Run is a really good platformer on a mobile device. Like, I would be perfectly fine with a mobile platformer.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
this is a bunch of stuff.
This is not a platformer. I mean, like, this is not a standard platformer that I would expect for Commander Keen. But that's not to say that it might not be really fun, because so far I've liked the other Bethesda products that are mobile. In spite of, the gnashing of teeth, I actually really like, Elder Scrolls Blades.
But I'm pretty hyped for this Commander Keen game. Like, I think I'm going to be my jets are going to be pretty cool on the mobile game. I'm definitely going to play it because I'm going to support this. I have to, like, you got to support what you love, and I love Commander Keen. I do wish it was, and I think they've got the aesthetic of the world very well locked down. And I'm glad there's two protagonists, and there's a male and a female protagonist. I am sad. Speaking of, we were talking about Raph Koster. I am sad that Tom Hall is infinitely sad.
I feel like I need more dots to be connected here.
Tom Hall was the creative designer of Commander Keen. And, like, has been carrying the Commander Keen torch for all of these years. There is only, like, the only person who cared about Commander Keen from, like, a games industry perspective in any sort of a public fashion was Tom Hall.
I was really happy to see that Elder Scrolls Blades was getting a Switch port and that there would be cross progress. I don't know if any of you have played Elder Scrolls Blades.
A bit.
It's quite fun, and I think it does a pretty good job of realizing an Elder Scrolls experience on a touchscreen device without just putting control layovers on the screen. I mean, I think the biggest problem that game has is the real life time thing to open chest thing, which is kind of annoying. But
speaking of third-party publishers, Square also had a rather interesting showing.
Wow, was Square the dark horse of D3?
They led with the game everybody expected them to lead with, the FF7 remake.
Which looks amazing.
Really good.
Which I went from skeptical on to, yes, I'm going to buy this.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
I'm pretty excited for that one, yeah.
Still skeptical.
I'm skeptical, but
I have issues with the changes to combat, but I'm gonna wait and probably see what you guys think.
This is fair. I really once I got it, I really loved FF15's combat, and this feels like a more sensible version of it.
Yeah, and I never got the 15's combat after however many hours I sunk into it.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm skeptical. I really want to like this game a lot, but I am going to be patient.
For me, this looks a lot more like the games that led into FF15 than it does FF15 itself. Like, it looks like Crisis Core and it looks like Kingdom Hearts as far as combat goes.
Yeah, agreed.
And those were a lot more straightforward than combat in FF15.
That's definitely true. And that's why I'm sort of waiting, because I'm hoping that will actually be the case. And when you guys tell me that, then I will throw my money at this game.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you can at any point pause and input commands, which would make it feel a little bit more straightforward. Or you can do like hotkey binds to cast spells and abilities and things like that. Super happy to see that they kept materia. I liked materia.
How could they
not?
A lot of people... It's part of the plot.
Yeah, I don't know how they could get rid of that.
I'm really excited, and I guess this is also not surprising for people, I'm sure, but I'm really excited about the stuff that's going to make a lot of people mad, which is they showed off a bunch of like flash cuts through a bunch of content. And my big takeaway was there is stuff that they are significantly changing about the story, and I'm here for it. Because like, running into Aerith in the streets of Midgar, that doesn't happen. Sephiroth, talking to Sephiroth at all in Midgar, also doesn't happen. The whole bike chase, like it was they open up with this cool like highway bike chase. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I've seen this. And then the camera pans around and it's Cloud with Jesse on the back of the bike. I'm like, oh no, okay, all right. How'd we get here?
So I thought Cloud ran into Aerith in the streets of Midgar at some point.
Nope.
Isn't she the flower girl who's like selling him flowers?
She is a flower girl and is selling flowers, but you don't run into her at any point.
I thought the whole church thing was in Midgar.
It is. The first time you meet her is when you fall through her roof.
No, you meet her incidentally before that.
I think it's after the first bombing, like everybody's scattering, and as we follow Cloud, we run into her and then we move on.
I'd have to check. I know that it's not like I know that it's an in-passing like hip check, not a...
Yes.
Not the scene you see in the trailer.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, for me, like, Midgar was one of the coolest areas, and it felt like you really weren't spending that much of the plot in it. And then once you're gone from it, you're just kind of gone from it.
Yeah, I appreciate that they're fleshing out more of Midgar, because that felt like a huge place that you don't get to see enough of. And I'm also kind of excited because a lot of the rest of the game feels like it could have used more fleshing out, and maybe it'll get that chance. This is a lot of my optimism speaking, because I would really like to see a Xenogears remake in which it has a disc 2 that's complete.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like the year of a bunch of games that never got Westernizations getting Westernizations.
Mm-hmm. What was that? Romancing Saga 3?
Yeah, exactly. And like that one was a super complicated game, and the language patches never were real hot on that I remember. And also, Second Densetsu 2 or 3 is getting like a full-blown remake as well.
Sort of the follow-up to the Secret of Mana remake from last year. That game has a quote-unquote sequel. It's actually a prequel that was never released here and is now called Trials of Mana here because it just got released here.
Apparently.
On Thursday. Or Wednesday, whenever that was.
Wait, so that came out on Thursday as well?
Yep.
In Collection of Mana, the fully translated version of that just came out.
Oh, crazy. I didn't realize that was in there. I may or may not have picked that up, but haven't had a chance to look at it.
And yeah, a remake, which looks way more in-depth than the Secret of Mana remake.
I know we got the less amazing version of Final Fantasy Adventure.
We did get the less amazing version of Final Fantasy Adventure. I mean, it was that or a remake. They already remade Final Fantasy Adventure. But despite how much I'm going to claim that Sword of Mana is a much better game, it's not that.
I'm just amazed because I never thought these games were ever going to get westernized. Same with Phantasy Star Online 2.
Yeah, they've realized that there's people over here that want them.
There are actually a lot of people over here, and we don't have that much money, but there's a larger population here than there is in Japan, as it turns out.
And then, of course, the game that we thought was never going to get a remaster.
Somebody found the source code to Final Fantasy VIII.
Either that or they worked out whatever issues they were having with Fei Wong.
Well, it's if you look at it close, it's not that nice looking, but it's way nicer than the original.
Yeah.
And the only thing that bugs me about the so-called remaster is it's still 4:3 resolution.
Well, the backgrounds were kind of that's all we got. We don't have 16:9 backgrounds for that game.
I was really excited to see that, though. I'm looking forward to playing it again.
Also a Panzer Dragoon remake?
I cannot believe that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. What?
And that's the version from the Saturn. Yeah, it's
is
Panzer
it?
Dragoon. Yeah, Panzer Dragoon is coming to the Switch, and it's the Saturn game.
I thought the Saturn game was Panzer Dragoon SaGa.
Just from what I remember of the Saturn game, what we're getting looks like it's the Saturn game. Which makes me wonder if we're also going to get a newer port of Nights into Dreams since they ran on the same engine.
Oh, I didn't know that the original Panzer Dragoon was also a Saturn game.
Yeah.
Panzer Dragoon SaGa is the one that they have famously lost the source code for. That was a few years later.
I always love those stories because I understand how they happen, but also it's well, I've got to admit that.
I mean...
There are a lot of games from that era that seem to have had that happen. It just wasn't a priority to keep it then.
Yep.
There's an app at work that's still functional that we have no clue where the source code is because my predecessor didn't apparently care about such things. So
I mean, it's basically the same deal as with the old Doctor Who stories that are gone forever. Nobody thought there was any reason to keep it.
Taped over it.
Tapes are expensive, yo.
I mean, they made the game and they released it on the console. It went gold and everything. I mean, it's done. What do they need to keep the source code for? What do you think they're going to do? Re-release it for another console, years down the road? That's not a thing that happens.
Whoops.
I tell you, a remaster I am super ready for is the Link's Awakening remaster.
Ooh, that looks very good. Very cute.
Yep.
I missed Link's Awakening.
I never played it. Yeah, I mean, it just, for whatever reason, did not play it. And it sounds like everything I've ever heard about it makes it sound like it's a totally different Zelda game. And I'm on board with that.
I think the two games that I'm most excited about from E3 were ones I didn't expect to be excited about from E3. There are a bunch that we've talked about that I think are good and I'm excited about. But I was sort of excited about them beforehand. E3 didn't make me more or less excited about them. But, so rarely do I start to care about a series on game 3, but wow, Watchdogs Legion looks compelling.
It does.
It's like I feel like I viscerally understand the story of this game's development. They've been roundly critiqued for their world sim, and so they were like, all right, let's make our world sim better. So they spend a bunch of effort making their world sim better, and they hit upon gold randomly, and they're like, well, this is the game now. This is where we live.
What if you played a game where any character that you encountered, you could play.
Yes.
That is all the premise I need.
This is, any NPC. You can be any NPC. You are playing the Resistance, which is just regular people. And, like, they show it in action. It's like you have, like, stereotypical, bro dude is the protagonist. And I was, like, bored. And then he gets into a gunfight and dies. I'm like, all right. And then it's like, no, that character is dead. That character is gone. What you have is this grandma. And this, like, 80-year-old grandma is going around tasing people and hacking computers. I'm like, what? Wait, what? And she goes and, like, befriends some other people by tasing a bunch of people. And that person joins the group. And all right.
She also has, like, a little robot spider friend that goes into hacks Scotland Yard, which is amazing.
Yeah. And it's like, in addition to all of the, like, weird emergent, like, sweet, I'm gonna make an entire octogenarian strike force, it's also just conceptually that seems like such an interesting experience, and I'm really interested. Like, it could go really wrong.
Well,
like,
and the thing that, like, sold it to me is, like, this character moves like a little old lady with the osteoporosis. Like, it's not a track star suddenly as soon as you control the character.
Yeah.
Like, you're moving slow, and that's okay.
But she also doesn't draw attention.
No.
Like nobody
bats an eye.
Lady. Like, there's the shot where she, like, taps somebody on the shoulder and then tases them in the face. It's hilarious. So I'm like, all right, I want to see where this goes.
Nothing about the previous games really made me want to play them, but, like, just that premise alone of being able to play anybody just seems cool.
The other game that came out of that I was surprised about was Roller Champions. Like, all right, I'm here for... I don't much like sports games, but I like ludicrous, unrealistic sports games. Like,
this isn't even that unrealistic.
What?
It's roller derby.
It's roller derby, but it has a ball in it.
It's
Yes.
It's roller derby with it's full contact roller derby with a ball in a half pipe with rocket skates.
So it's rollerball?
So it's roller derby with a ball.
Yeah, that.
It's roller derby with rocket skates?
I mean, they
They
probably
would if
wish
they
they
could.
could.
It should. Yeah.
Fair. It looks super charming and super fun. Not like a deep, philosophical, I'm going to think about this for a long time fun, but, like, I'm tired at the end of a week. I want to do something silly fun for a while.
I mean, to me it was like, did you wish Rocket League had people instead of cars? Okay, here's Rollerball.
Yeah. Rocket League was surprisingly fun. I can play it for free.
I don't know if you caught anything about Fallout 76, but apparently they now have NPCs, or will be having NPCs.
So how's that going to work?
Also, Battle Royale.
Also Battle Royale.
Everything needs to have a battle royale. It's required, didn't you hear?
I mean...
This sounds like we coded this up real quick, and we think it might be cool, so we added it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened, but the NPCs are like, people are starting to settle the wastes. So now there's NPCs with quests, and we're now a full-fledged Fallout game.
If that's your thing, you can be a hero instead of an archaeologist.
Yes, pretty much. Also, Ikumi Nakamura won E3, just saying.
Reminder that she makes really scary games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't forget that thing.
Yes.
Like, yes, that was incredibly charming. No, I'm not going to play that game.
Yeah, she's like the cheeriest presenter ever. And now we're going to show you a game where you're fighting spirits that instantly, like, kill people. Okay. Admittedly, like, Ghostwire Tokyo looks interesting.
It does. It's just not a
Also,
game for me.
Evil Within had some absolutely horrifying moments.
Yeah. Yes. No, it was really, really cool watching the, like, mantle of horror game, I don't even know, guru handed down on stage at E3. Because she was introduced by Shinji Mikami.
Right.
And if you're not familiar, Shinji Mikami is responsible for basically every horror game you remember from the 90s and early 2000s. Like, basically. If it wasn't directly made by him, it was made by a protege. And Ikumi Nakamura is basically his protege he's passing on to.
So there were a couple games that like really didn't make much of a splash, but like I don't know if any of you happened to catch any footage of them. One was a game called Spiritfarer, which seems to be like Stardew Valley on a boat, where you collect animal friends and then do stuff with animal friends. So like,
And then they all die.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they all die. I mean, that's the takeaway I got. But like, I would like to think that you're helping them solve some puzzle, and then they move on with their life. I don't know, or they move on with their death. I don't know.
They
Whatever.
expect this game to be 12 sads out of 10.
Probably,
Seriously.
but it looks charming as hell at times. You're like on a giant riverboat that you're building.
As ferry master to the deceased, build a boat to explore the world, care for your spirit friends, and guide them across mystical seas to finally release them into the afterlife.
This game is 1,000 sads out of 10.
I mean, that doesn't actually sound that sad when you describe it that way.
I mean, like, it seems charming to me.
I mean, here's a whole bunch of characters that you are going to fall in love with, and then they're going to die.
Well, they're already dead.
Right, if they're already dead, then it's okay.
But like, even in the context of the game, they will leave you forever.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, to go to the nice farm.
right. I
You're
mean,
not making this better, Thalen.
like
The animations are incredible. though.
Incredible.
Yeah. Like I wanna hang out with my spirit friends and never solve their problems. And we just
Like-
ride around on the boat forever.
Watching, I guess the main character is Stella. Watching Stella's animations is just amazing. Also, I want her hat. Her hat is great. She's got a big star hat.
Yes. Probably where the name comes from.
And then the other game that I haven't seen a lot of mention about, but I thought was super charming, was Way to the Woods. The one where you're like a buck, like guiding your fawn around what looks like the ruins of Tokyo, which it immediately has a Tokyo jungle feel to it, except for you're not fighting animals. God, I hope you're not fighting animals.
That one definitely made me think of Tokyo Jungle when I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, but like, really, hopefully it's not a brutal sim about fighting animals.
Tokyo Jungle was fun.
It was also kind of brutal at times.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing pleasant about watching, you kill a Pomeranian.
Tasty Pomeranian.
I mean, I
Was-
think you
was it an
start as
evil
a Pomeranian.
Oh, right. You have to like work your way up the food chain in that game. I never actually played that game.
Yeah, I
I
remember
really wish I
playing
picked
a
it up when
bit
it was
of
like
it.
50 cents, but I never did.
It was on PS Plus at some point,
Yeah, and
so I have a
that's
copy
why
for
I
that
have it.
reason.
And Vampire Bloodlines continues to look good.
I'm still sort of surprised that that's a real game.
Mhm.
Me too.
It's way further along than I thought it was going to be. Like I expected it to be like at least a year out, because we just started hearing about it recently. But no, it's coming out like really soon. Isn't it like September or something like that?
I don't even remember. I do. I am really happy to see that it's in Paradox's hands.
I mean, don't they own the property now?
Yeah, I
Yep.
like that they own the property. The kinds of games that Paradox makes are very in line with, or the kinds of games that Paradox publishes realistically are very in line with that kind of game.
Well, didn't they also recently make another vampire game that was fairly well received?
Not that I know
That I know of, but like Paradox has done Crusader Kings 2,
Mm-hmm.
Tyranny, BattleTech, Stellaris.
of. Crusader Kings and Stellaris are developed by them.
The others are published by them.
Yeah.
And they're also publishing the next Age of Wonder game.
You know what else they're publishing? Speaking of Paradox and old Keen developers, they're publishing John Romero's new game, which I did not know it was John Romero's game, even despite the fact that I had watched like the entire trailer for it. Like
I knew that they were publishing John Romero's game, and then I knew that they were publishing this game, and I did not connect those dots that this game was John Romero's game.
Isn't this Brenda Romero's game?
Yes, it
Brenda
is.
Romero's
I think it's
game,
really-
yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is Brenda Romero's game. Like John is involved, but this is Brenda's game.
Which game?
Empire of Sin.
Oh, okay, that looked really bland.
Oh no, this game is so... This is so where I want to be. I am playing a XCOM style with management overlay where I'm taking over the streets of Chicago in Prohibition era.
That does sound pretty great.
It's not a game for me, but
Yeah, it's not a game for me either.
Like, I'm going to be trying to make sure I'm holding the right turf so that I have the right supply line so I can keep supplying my speakeasies with booze and...
Yeah, you're losing me. You're continuing to lose me.
I'm 100% in on this game just because I've heard Brenda go on about it, and I'm excited that it's a real thing, and I'm excited to see what they're doing with it.
So I'll be honest, I legitimately have no idea what John Romero has been doing since Daikatana. Because, that is a
Living
name
in
I
Ireland.
haven't heard. What?
Mm-hmm.
Said living in Ireland.
So, that's why I was sort of surprised to see his name attached to any project. And
There's
also barely attached.
There's a no-clip documentary video on basically, their studio in Ireland and, what they've done since the Daikatana age. That's actually rather interesting for someone that, I largely didn't care about.
he was involved in the first Red Faction.
Apparently. Hands of Necronox.
Oh.
So I feel like my award for thing I did not expect to hear from E3, but also one of the shittiest things I saw at E3 is Contra Rogue Core. It's a Contra game that looks nothing like the Contra that matters, and is really not it doesn't look good.
So I would have been okay with them making a 3D Contra that is sort of a twin stick shooter if it didn't look completely awful.
It doesn't look great.
And especially the Switch version. So if you look at the Switch version, it looks like they just did a quick flip of maybe something they were working on for the 3DS originally and made it a Switch game. But then if you look at the Xbox or PS4 trailers, it is significantly higher res on those, but it still looks like nonsense. It does not look like a good game at all. Especially when you have Contra Collection that you can just, relive the nostalgia of playing the Contra games that were good. I'm looking forward to Animal Crossing because I've never played an Animal Crossing game legitimately. I've only ever played Pocket Camp.
I'm looking forward to that too. I'm sort of I've never played an Animal Crossing game. I'm trying to decide if I want to get that.
Did you play and or like Stardew Valley?
I did play, and I mostly liked Stardew Valley.
You should give Animal Crossing a shot.
Yep, you might like it.
Do you want to owe Tom Nook all your monies?
I mean, that sounds hilarious. I've played Reciteer.
Yeah.
I understand the impetus of let's start you in incredible amounts of debt and have you work your way out of it. It is a delightfully millennial call to action.
And yet they've been doing this since... When did the first Animal Crossing come out anyway?
GameCube, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it was GameCube.
Mm-hmm.
2001.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about Thalen's take on this one. What were your thoughts on the new Avengers game?
I really want it to be good. I'm going to need to see more before I can make a decision. Honestly, the thing that I liked best was the bit at the very end where Ant-Man showed up.
Yup.
And shrunk the tank, because that made me think that, okay, maybe we are going to see, somewhat less...
cast.
Yeah, but more than just the Avengers from the movies. I really hope we get some, B and C list characters that haven't shown up in the MCU at all.
Well, supposedly, the entire video is being narrated by Kamala Khan. That's the rumor that's floating around. So, that would be another character that we might see. I'd
love it if they, I'd definitely love it if they brought in some of those new characters that have been created within the past decade or so. All the characters who are members of the new Champions team, the new Wasp, Kamala, Ironheart, so forth.
I feel like those have a better shot of showing up in Ultimate Alliance 3.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought. What I was kind of curious about with that is, so this is a very high fidelity game, and I'm curious if they are actually putting Ant-Man in with a shrink ray. Like, how do you do that? Like, if you aren't just like, ooh, this is a debuff on a mob, and it's actually like, oh no, the mob gets shrunk down and like you can kick it around and stuff. Like, this is supposed to be less of a, I guess, you're supposed to have, it's supposed to feel more like you aren't just putting status effects on a thing and more like you're actually there, immersive style.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, that's what I'm curious, is because that's the thing with the Marvel Alliance, is they are just leaning on, hey, this is kind of an abstraction from a pen and paper game, versus, no, we want you to be able to, like in Spider-Man, you get to feel like Spider-Man. They do everything they can to make you feel like Spider-Man. And in this game, the promise seems to be that you're supposed to be able to feel like these heroes.
Well, and there's some superpowers that are just really hard to model well, and then some that just are extremely hard to do in a multiplayer game. I'm thinking of super speed there. Like, I have to assume they're probably just not going to ever have Quicksilver show up.
The only real issue that I have with the game is, like, visually. The character designs feel really weak, largely because they're kind of doing this thing that the various Marvel mobile games do as well, to where they are desperately trying not to look like the likenesses of the actors from the MCU, but also kind of trying not to look like the character designs from the comics either. So they live in this weird, uncanny valley of character looks, to where, it's kind of recognizable vaguely as Captain America, but, like, if you took the accoutrements off of the various heroes and threw them in a room, I am not sure I could tell who was who from the scenes.
Well, that just means they've got really good secret identities. But yeah, I don't know. It's another universe in the multiverse. They look different here. I can deal with that. If the writing and the voice acting is good,
What I thought was interesting, and I heard this remark made, is that while the heroes' faces look fundamentally different from the MCU, the art direction is basically ripped completely from the MCU. So, like, all of the surrounding things make you think, oh, this is like MCU Avengers, and then you see the faces, like, no, it's not. And that's where the dissonance is coming.
Yeah, that may be it. And I know that's definitely the problem with the mobile games that exist, because it is the MCU costume with people that look nothing like the actors.
I think I read someplace somebody said it's like you got the MCU stunt doubles making their own game.
Right. That's kind of what it feels like. Well, and somebody else said that it feels like you took, like, costumes and threw them on the default poser models.
Ouch. They had art direction.
I don't think that's,
Yeah, I don't think that's
a little
fair.
Yeah.
No, they clearly have a lot of art direction, and it's very much like doing a very good recreation of MCU, and that's why it feels like the character design, the faces, are so odd.
Yeah. Well, and it probably really didn't hit with the Spider-Man game as much, since you spend so much time in costume.
Well, there's been a billion Spider-Mans. There's only one Iron Man. Thalen will correct
as far as
me.
movies go.
I was going to say, Thalen can absolutely correct me, because I'm sure there are some other Iron Man properties, but for most audiences, there's only one Iron Man, and that's Robert Downey Jr.
There's only one live-action Iron Man
Yeah.
I mean,
not only have there been several live-action Spider-Men, there's also the bit where nobody can decide what Spider-Man is supposed to look like in general.
We just had a movie about it, even.
Yeah.
It was really great.
I mean, there's been a couple live-action Thors. One of which, at least, is
that one.
is hilariously bad.
We don't talk about Poodle Thor.
I was going to say...
There's also been the Hasselhoff Nick Fury.
Yep.
So the only... I don't know of any of these characters. The only one who might be recognizable in a different incarnation is Hulk.
I mean, we've had 4 live-action
I can
Hulks.
think of at least 3 of those.
Yeah.
Five if you count that Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, are different. Yeah, but we've had 4 Bruce Banners, 3 within the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow. It does show how little brain space I devote to the Ang Lee Hulk movie. I can't remember who played the Hulk in that.
Edward Norton.
So that's fine.
No, it's
No, that
not
wasn't
Edward
Norton.
It's
That was Incredible Hulk. That was the one that was actually decent.
I can see his face, but like I can't think of the name. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
Eric
a
Bana.
person.
It was Eric Bana.
It was Eric Bana. Yeah.
That movie was not good.
Yeah, because there's the Hulk movie that's not part of the MCU, and then there's the Hulk movie that is part of the MCU, but then they changed again to Mark Ruffalo.
Well, it's the Hulk movie that's part of the MCU, yet none of the theaters that did the big lead up to the final movie showed that film.
I mean, I can't blame them, but
I mean,
Look, it wasn't as bad as the other one.
no, it would have
No,
to be
That's
really, really
not a
bad.
good bar.
Sure.
it is a perfectly fine movie that doesn't feel anything like the rest of the MCU.
I mean, they didn't know what the MCU was going to feel like yet at that point. I think was the main
Yeah.
problem.
That was movie number 2.
Exactly.
Right. Well,
We didn't
and I
even
think-
realize there was an MCU until the post-credits scene.
I think the core problem is that Hulk makes a great additional cast member, but not a great movie lead.
It's really hard to do, yeah.
I mean, Thor Ragnarok essentially was a Hulk film, but it was better in that form than it would have been otherwise. So I feel like there's one game that we haven't talked about that really needs to be talked about. Not that we know anything about it at this point.
Just one?
Well, I mean, like, so there's probably more, but like, there's one that I need to talk about.
Is it
Which
Jedi
is-
Fallen Order?
No. We talked about Jedi Fallen Order last week. I think we did. I don't
We
know.
did.
Maybe we did.
We did.
No. Whatever the Breath of the Wild sequel ends up being, please God, let it be a Zelda game, not a Link game. I'm really hoping that's a thing. I may be disappointed, but like, I'm really hoping that's a thing.
Do you want to play a Zelda game? Do you want to play a game with Zelda as the main protagonist?
Yes, I do.
You should go to your Switch, open up the shop, and download Cadence of Hyrule.
I didn't like Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Oh yeah, but you're doing it to the beat of Zelda music now.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
you already know the
matter.
music.
It's still that same gameplay.
Well,
It
wait
is
a
also
second.
not a roguelike.
It is also not a roguelike. So let's pause here because I'm gonna push back. This is in my opinion much better than Crypt of the Necrodancer because you aren't starting over every single time. So you are going around what is a pretty good recreation of what my memory says is linked to the past. So it's probably not even remotely close, but it sure has enough distinguishing markers that I'm like, yes, this is linked to the past. And you are doing Crypt of the Necrodancer combat, and you're playing as, you can choose if you want to play as Link or Zelda. You're playing as Zelda.
When you said one more game that we don't know anything about, I thought you were going to talk about the George R.R. Martin game.
Oh yeah, like that's just gonna be nonsense. I don't even know. Like the trailer doesn't even tell us anything other than people have detachable arms.
Well, once he finishes that game, then he can do the collab with Final Fantasy XIV.
I don't know what Elden Ring is gonna be at all.
It's going to be an excuse for George Martin not to finish the last 2 books.
Yup.
And
I can't blame him, honestly.
Look, endings are hard.
Like, I'm pretty sure he got bored of that story like 15 years ago.
So, what is further in development? Breath of the Wild 2 or Elder Scrolls 6?
oh, easily Elder Scrolls 2. Or further in development, Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh, you meant further off?
Further along in development.
Yeah.
What is
Breath of the Wild
closer
2.
to?
Breath of the Wild 2 easily.
You
Because
sure?
there's a game out of BGS between now and Elder Scrolls 6, probably.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see Starfield before we see Elder Scrolls 6.
Okay, so what's further off, Starfield or Breath of the Wild 2?
I still think we'll see Breath of the Wild 2 by holiday 2020.
Okay, holiday 2020. That sounds like I don't know. I would almost put it.
Given the current trend for Bethesda to announce things, i.e., 6-ish months before they come out, we might also get Starfield in that window.
We might, but I mean, I think the entire point of Breath of Wild 2 was for them to be able to turn it around quickly, kind of like what was the other game that they spun around quickly that was on the same engine?
I don't know that it's so much turn around quickly. It's, hey, we made a game with a frankly amazing engine. Like, I've made my opinions about Breath of the Wild pretty clear, but the engine that it's on is amazing, and they make a new game on it. Like, that's efficiency. Like,
I guess it was Zelda 64 and Majora's Mask that they did that with.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my perspective here is that felt like a super early peak. Like that last little teaser with the black, it's now in development, told me that it's probably pretty early in development.
I mean, it's the same thing we got from Metroid Prime. What's slightly more than we got from Metroid Prime 4 when they showed that last year.
And how's that going?
It's more than we've
MIA.
Like, it's more than we've seen to date. Like, we've not seen anything for Metroid Prime. We have a logo still. That's all we have.
Well, but they did announce, was it March?
Yeah, it was getting pushed back.
They were going to push it back because they had to restart development, basically.
So if you want an idea on that one, the Breath of the Wild initial reveal, which I don't remember how meaty that was 2014 for the Wii U. So,
The thing with Breath of the Wild 2, though, is like, it's been rumored that there was a game in development for a while. This just kind of confirmed that rumor. So I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know how long it will take them to build a bunch of new content.
The other thing is, with the exception of Metroid Prime 2, Nintendo's been closer to Bethesda than they have been to other publishers in terms of dates versus when things get released.
Yeah.
Or Metroid Prime 4, rather.
Like, I can't think of anything other than Metroid Prime that has, like, gotten announced and then been over a year until we saw it.
I'm pretty sure everything they announced at E3, everything else they announced at E3 last year is out now.
Nintendo's really big releases are kind of few and far between, though.
It's true.
Yeah, and this would be a big release.
Right, but we know what the studio's been doing since. Nintendo has several internal studios. Do we know what they've been doing since?
I have no idea how they break up their dev.
I mean, they did have a bunch of DLC content for Breath of the Wild. So I would imagine that they pretty much rolled off that straight into development of the sequel. Whatever they're going to end up calling it. Like, there still isn't a name other than now in development. I will say I kind of want to pick up Brawlhalla.
I didn't realize Ubisoft published that.
I had no clue either. Like, it's been at every PAX South.
Yeah, they bought the dev, so that's what they did.
Yeah, like, I had no clue that they were even considering releasing character packs from, like, popular things. And I love Adventure Time, so sure, I want to play as, Jake the dog and Peebs. It is mostly a Smash Brothers-ish game, isn't it?
It is just Smash Brothers.
Okay. Like,
it has
PC
a slightly
Smash
different
Brothers.
like weapon mechanic and other things. It's PC Smash Brothers. It's got Shovel Knight in it. Because if you have random indie characters in your game, Shovel Knight is the first one you pick.
I think they get too much of a kick out of that for that not to be the case. Because Shovel Knight's in everything.
Shovel Knight's in real Smash Brothers.
Put LSA in Smash.
Yes.
Cowards?
Yes, greedy cowards.
I do. So one of the things that I thought was cool is not Harvest Moon. Animal Crossing is being delayed. And it's being delayed, A, because Nintendo doesn't release a game unless it's good, is sort of their thing. But also because they had the option of either crunching to release or delaying. And they were like, we don't want to put our staff through crunch.
I'm probably going to buy Animal Crossing. I've never played an Animal Crossing game, but I'm going to buy it and play it.
Yeah.
For that reason.
And that's good. We need more studios who are willing to do that.
Yeah, and so like that was the main reason why I knew about the whole Majora's Mask thing from earlier. Is like I read one of the articles from somebody talking about this, that I guess it is a thing of legend, the amount of crunch that team went through to turn out Majora's Mask as fast as they did, and that it was universally thought of as not a good idea from that point on. And I think that's probably a good takeaway, even though that was a wildly successful game.
Yeah,
and I do think Nintendo like is in a unique position to where Nintendo fans are fine waiting as long as it takes to get a product. Like there's and honestly, like I say that as being a Nintendo thing. I think most fans would be happy to wait a little bit longer to get the best version of the product that the team could deliver without, killing themselves.
Would hope.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have waited a full other year on Anthem easily if it would have made that a less rocky release.
Yeah.
I mean, just in my world of normal software development, managing to a deadline is never a great idea. As in, you cherry-picked a release window, and now we're going to try and make that release window.
Yeah, it's not great.
Hey, Bell.
Hey, what?
Did you watch the Devolver show?
I watched At It the day afterwards. I definitely did not stay up and watch it.
Devolver inflicting its performance art on us.
Yeah,
that was not art.
I kind of skipped around in the show, and I think Fall Guys, the game, looks interesting, but that's about it.
Is that the Battle Royale thing?
No, that's the Lemmings looking game.
So yes it is.
Okay. Oh, that's Battle Royale? It looked like Lemmings to me, because you're trying to see how many of your people can make it through the traps.
No, that's
right.
That's competitive.
Oh God, that's competitive? I did not take
Yes.
that away from it at all. I thought it was just like Lemmings.
I thought that too at first, but no.
What?
No, that game is the second most unique take on the Battle Royale genre that has come along so far.
I mean, I feel like Tetris is the most unique.
Yes,
maybe?
Tetris is above that.
No, Nintendo walked in and dropped the mic on that one and left. And
It's like Tetris Battle Royale, lol.
whatever, we heard this was popular.
We live here now.
I can't believe that's a competitive game. It looks like nonsense.
Uh-huh.
But then again, it also kind of reminded me of like the physics engine from Gang Beasts, which I still think is a game that like some of us should totally play and record because it would be funny.
I'm not sure the things I would say would be fit for human consumption.
I mean, I feel like if we were going to do that, we would first want to do Ultimate Chicken Horse, which is also that thing.
Ultimate Chicken Horse is amazing. So
we got a really cool... I forgot that happened since last week. E3 was long. We got to see a really cool trailer for Psychonauts 2.
Yeah, it was further along than I expected it to be. Also, they got bought by Microsoft.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, like that's real weird, but
Microsoft would like to build a stable so their next console can have launch titles people actually want.
Did you see the Double Fine video about that?
no.
It's great. It's so trolly. Like halfway through the play of the video, it ends with like Tim Schafer talking about how Microsoft approached him and was like, "Would you like a big sack of cash?" And then Tim Schafer just looks and like, "Yeah, I would." And then the video cuts to black for the rest of the play. No explanations. Like, yeah, I want money.
So, like the few studios that got bought out last year, all in all, it seems like a not bad thing.
It's probably not bad for them.
Probably not bad for any of them.
Probably not.
So, weird game that I think came out of the Square show that I'm oddly into is Circuit Superstars. I think that was Square, which is a top-down racing game, kind of like in the.
Is this like the old Micro Machines?
Yeah, Micro Machines or RC Pro-Am style racing game, but like supposedly with high fidelity controls.
But those
I
feel like that's the part I don't want.
it sounds like those don't go together. But like, it's a little indie team building it, so like, I kind of want to check it out whenever it comes out. Because I loved Micro Machines back in the day. That was so fun, and I feel like, especially on the Switch, a game like Micro Machines would be really fun to have. And I finally have a release date for Dragon Quest Builders 2, which makes me happy, because I loved that game. That was so good. Or the first one. I'm trying to think, like, of anything else that was announced or talked about or anything at E3, since that's kind of all we ended up talking about after the first topic. Is there anything else?
Was announced?
Yeah, that looks interesting.
It's Looper the video game. What?
What?
Like-
Wait.
Like,
Like a Grindhouse version?
right. Like, I'm interested. Like, I kind of want to see where this goes, especially like if your progression, like there has to be some kind of progression system that carries through the loop.
I mean, so it's the same studio that does Dishonored, right?
Yeah, which is, first part that makes me super into this notion.
So, like, they're very good at making you have cool feeling powers. And, like, I think, like, if like, time rewind is a thing, that'd be interesting. I'm interested to see what they do.
Oh, I almost forgot about Battletoads. Yeah, Battletoads, like, actually showed off gameplay from the new game. And it is a vastly different art style.
That's probably fine.
Yeah, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
I don't have the nostalgia of Battletoads that a lot of people my age have. I mostly played Double Dragon instead, but like, I'm happy.
The one
I'm
level
happy
was terrible.
I'm happy there'll be more Battletoads for the people that were super into Battletoads.
Oh, right. This is like 90s era where they're named after skin conditions.
Yeah,
This is fake turtles trying to be edgy.
Rare probably wanted to do a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game and couldn't get the rights. I don't know.
I mean, say what you will about Battletoads, it's definitely better than the 8-bit Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
Well, one of the 8-bit Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games, like the first one that came out was garbage. The second one that came out was like pretty decent. Like it was a clone of the arcade game, just with way lower fidelity because it was a Nintendo.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm on board for Wasteland 3 or not. I think largely I just didn't enjoy Wasteland 2 as much as I thought I would. What were your thoughts, Thalen?
I mean, honestly, I never actually got around to playing Wasteland 2.
I didn't
So I
make
really
it terribly
need to play
far.
it.
Like, it did not grab me, and it felt like Fallout without the narrative elements that I liked about Fallout. It felt like mechanically it was Fallout, but it had less of an interesting storyline, so that it largely just dropped me, which is kind of my concern about Wasteland 3.
Like, what I've seen looks interesting. I'll definitely keep an eye out, and see what people say about it. But I don't know if I'll actually end up picking it up or not. All depends.
Probably the most interesting announcement that isn't super flashy is the streaming tech announcement from Bethesda for Orion that's supposed to greatly reduce the bandwidth cost of streaming games from the cloud that isn't necessarily tied to a specific platform.
Seems like it would be a pretty big deal.
Which it seems super weird to have that as part of the E3 show, since that was largely like something I would have expected that they would have rolled out at GDC instead. I mean, I think this will be the year of cloud gaming if cloud gaming ever becomes a full-fledged thing.
I'm sure this trial will go better than the one before. So, okay, honestly, I do believe this trial will go better than the one before. I don't know whether it will go well enough.
I mean, I feel like that previously bandwidth at home just wasn't enough of a thing, and we talked about that briefly last week, and maybe people have good enough internet to make it work now, but I think at this point we've gone considerably longer than we should have gone. Any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
No stealth games from E3, maybe next year. I'm excited if I get one every other year, so...
It does seem like 2020 is shaping up to be a big year, a 2017-esque size year in games.
Yes, especially with a new Microsoft console that got announced for holiday 2020, and probably a new Sony console being announced at some point in the near future.
Oh, almost certainly.
It definitely felt like they were probably holding a bunch of stuff for when those console announcements are like really getting closer. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.